It's Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce and Michael. I know a ghost story or two. Let's do this.
Welcome back to Bigfoot Collectors Club. I'm your host, Michael McMillan, and with me always is your other host.
Hi, guys. Bryce Johnson here.
Hi, guys. Bryce Johnson. What's up, dude?
Not much, man. How you doing?
It's good. So we are about to enter our second episode in our Crazy Ex-Girlfriend
Run.
tie-in miniseries.
Yes. Thank God you're on this show.
I know, right? It's the only way I've been able to book guests for our Bigfoot podcast is just asking everybody I know from work if they want to come be on it.
I think it works well.
And we have a very lovely guest today. She is one of my character Tim's other coworkers at White Feather and Associates. We have the lovely Esther Povitsky.
Yay!
Hi. I forgot to plug where you were from. Other than Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, you also have a podcast.
I do. It's called Glowing Up, and we discuss makeup and health and beauty stuff.
Ghosts?
We don't discuss ghosts yet.
Extraterrestrials?
Not yet. That's what I'm
Dang.
here for today.
Yeah.
I think ghosts wear makeup maybe sometimes, right? Like they're in the mirror, like putting on rouge or something.
Sure.
They might need it.
Yeah.
Well, you would.
No offense to ghosts.
I would imagine you do look a little pale. I would imagine that certain objects. You know, we know that like sometimes ghosts are attracted to certain objects. So I can imagine a haunted vanity table where maybe a lady of a manor comes back to visit her things.
That is my dream. Like a haunted vanity or a haunted, like a haunted lipstick.
Yes.
How powerful would you be if you owned that?
Wait a minute.
That would be cool.
So a haunted lipstick, does that mean a ghost comes out of the lipstick? Or when you put it on, you become a ghost?
Maybe it's just like, you're working it, girl.
Ooh.
I feel like I picture like when I have that in my being, in my possession,
Right.
that I have like a little bit extra power that day, you know?
Ooh.
Like I was always a person who felt like ghosts were my friends. And I don't know if this is a common thing, if you've heard anyone talk about this yet, but I feel like I was kind of like, I spent a lot of time alone as a kid. Like I always say I wasn't raised, I was watched, which like I was kept safe. But no one like really.
No wonder you thought you were friends with
awesome.
ghosts.
Yeah, like no one really engaged with me.
I was watched.
So I grew up really thinking that ghosts were not a scary thing, and ghosts were like I was on their side and they were on my side.
Wow, this is a TV show.
Yeah.
Esther's Haunted Vanity.
Well, we actually, so the first season of my show, we tried to write an episode around.
Which we have to, real quick, drop, is airing today, I think.
Yes.
As this airs January 10th. We're pre-recording this a little bit ahead of time. But Esther has a new show coming out on Freeform.
Yes, it's called Alone Together, and it airs Wednesday, January 10th, which I think is today, and at 8:30. But last season, we tried to break a story based on me wanting to buy a haunted armoire.
That's
which is
great.
so crazy that you said that.
How wild is that?
I know, and that's the first thing on the top of my list for season 2 to how to make that story work. 'Cause
Yeah.
Let's break it out right now.
Yeah,
I think
we can help you with that.
Yeah, you just play this podcast.
Yeah.
We'll get a little outline credit for it.
Yes.
So you weren't scared of ghosts as a child?
No, because my grandfather and my grandmother both died in my house before I was born. So I grew up in the house that my father was raised in, and they both died there in front of my dad, which is crazy, which he recently told me that.
And your dad is not a suspect in either one of your deaths.
No.
He's cleared.
Well,
Oh.
I don't know. No, he is not a suspect until now. But so that I always felt, which again, I'm hearing this is more common recently, but like I've always felt like this deep connection to those grandparents who I never met because I was raised in their home, and I don't know, you just feel connection to your ancestors or whatever that you haven't met. And so I always felt like they were in that house potentially, and if they were there to like protect me or look over me. So ghosts always felt like a positive thing that I was very hopeful.
More like the grandmother tree in Pocahontas.
Yeah.
Like, or a fairy godmother kind of
Yes.
feeling. That's cool.
You know what you asked? It is a recurring theme. There's been a few stories of like hope and like where ghosts have like started scary, but it ended, maybe there was a message towards the end that wasn't so scary.
Right. Like I ultimately feel that I'm on the same side as the ghosts, and the ghosts will know that, whether it's my grandparents or like in a haunted house.
But
when it comes down to the reckoning, you're good.
Yeah, but how can you be on the same side of the ghost? You're on the side of the living, Esther. You have
That
to be.
is a really good point.
You can never truly be on the side of the ghost.
Yeah, not in this world. I guess you're right.
Not until, listen, we're going to have an eternity on the side of the ghost.
Gosh, that's
Possibly.
what they
My fingers are crossed.
And it'll be a beautiful vanity table.
Oh, wow.
So did you ever have, since your grandparents, you said you felt a presence, but you never had any paranormal experience in the house?
No, so there was one experience that it seems so mild, and it's almost seems like a throwaway, like it's nothing, but it has stuck with me till this day. And it's like the first thing that comes to my mind, and I was in my bedroom, which is I think the room where my grandfather died. My grandfather died in my room, and then the room next to it my grandma died in. And I was making out with my boyfriend in high school.
Whoa,
Wow.
This took a left turn I
Yeah.
was not expecting.
As in scary movies, there's always somebody
Totally.
making out, some teenager.
Sure.
So
Did he climb in through the window?
No, he didn't. My parents didn't care what happened, so he just came through the front door.
They just watched as he walked through the front door and up to your bedroom.
She's up the stairs.
Yeah.
We'll be down here just watching,
Right.
casually observing our child's growth and development.
Oh.
And it just so happened that day I was wearing my grandfather's dog tags, which, I don't know, I was going through a dog tag phase, I guess. I thought it was super sexy. So I was wearing those, and we were making out, and I had a towel and a purse hanging on the doorknob, and we had been in the room for hours, so it wasn't like, oh, we just closed the door and something fell.
Was the purse the signal to your mom and dad not to come in because
No.
you were getting it on?
No, it was on my side of the
Okay.
door.
That was the sign that said, "Don't come in. We're getting it on."
So, and then just all of a sudden, the bag and the towel just fell really fast off the door into the floor. And it's like I said, it sounds really minor and really mild, but nothing like that had ever happened before. It wasn't caused by any kind of movement. It just kind of happened, and it really, like, we both like kind of lost our stomachs at it. It was so strange.
Felt something.
Yeah, and I kind of was like, well, that combined with the first time I was ever wearing his dog tags and like about to hook up,
Well, yeah, totally.
Wow.
it did just feel like someone was like, meh.
Yeah.
Again, there's that association with items, the dog tag. I met a psychic once. She was a medium, and she talked about what she used to do. She didn't actually contact. Excuse me as I suppress a belch from my cup of coffee. It got dangerously close to just like being like.
We're all at home here.
But she would take like your keys or your ring. She liked metal objects, and then she would do a reading based on that, and she could pick up on memories and stuff because she felt energy was kept in, especially metal objects like that. So it's possible that those dog tags of his were sort of a conduit for him in a way.
Yeah, I had my dad's dog tags. I remember I wanted them so bad, and I went so far as to remember the dog tag serial number, RA18919178, and I used to wear them. I think I lost them, which I suck for that. But yeah, I too I went through a dog tag phase.
Right.
It's like, I'm cool, check me out, dog tags. But no, they were very special to me, and
Yeah, I need to. I don't know where mine are either. I'm going home for the holidays. Hopefully, they're somewhere in my bedroom.
But I think that those tiny moments like this, like we are doing this podcast, and as Esther came in. I'm now speaking to the audience here. Going, I don't know if I have any paranormal stories, and we've had a couple guests do that. But these don't all have to be. Holy shit! Bigfoot picked me up in a taxi, and then we went to Coachella.
That's later.
these little, these are the things that I find really, actually more satisfying in a way, are these quiet, calm, personal moments that are full of meaning. And I do think you have to trust your instinct that, like, okay, that was something weird, and if you read something weird into a moment, follow that. Don't brush it off.
Yeah. No, it's so important to follow your gut. You know what I mean? Especially what I picked up on is that, like, you said there was like the kind of the moment drop. There definitely felt something in,
Yeah.
like a change of energy or something. But
Yeah, the other thing that this isn't an incident, but I remember it's something that someone once said that I really related to, and it was like, when you're in like the basement or something, you're in a dark room, and sometimes it's like fine, and you're just able to grab what you need, or grab the laundry, whatever it is you're doing. And then there's sometimes where like this rush comes over you and you just have to run out. You're just like, I gotta run out of here.
That's most times for me.
Yeah, like that is so real. And like I remember when so I guess when there's that time, I think the person said like, there might be a reason for that. Like, and maybe it is like there is a reason that you're so scared and you have to run away. Maybe it's just like mental, which is totally an option. Sure. But maybe it's not. Maybe there's a real reason that you're like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, maybe you're picking up on the so-called sixth sense or something. We have receptors to those things. Just because we don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
It is odd, though, that there is like often, and maybe this just goes back to our primal nature, that there's a big like higher sense of urgency in the dark.
Right.
One of my recurring nightmares as a kid was that I would go into my bathroom and the light wouldn't come on, and I had to go to the back of the bathroom and walk back out, and I just knew as a kid that there was something waiting for me at the back of the room. Yeah. And I'd have to go get a towel or something, or a dopey or something, and then I would always remember like waking up right as I was heading back out the door and seeing something move in the reflection of the mirror to come get me, and then I would wake up.
Yeah, very creepy. My son, even like you could tell he hates walking through the hallway at night. He does that like fast trot, like the dark is like right on his back. And he's like right into bed, and then I'm like, oh, and then I'll do it coming out the back too. I'm like, shut the door quick. Felt like somebody's watching me, but I'm good. The door's shut,
I do think you bring up a good point about that, which is like from an evolutionary perspective, you're right. Like it is probably because in the dark there were animals that we couldn't
fight
see.
Fight or flight, yeah.
Yeah, and that we knew they'd attack us, which I hate to bring science or whatever you'd want.
No,
listen, we are nothing if not scientists on this podcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're official scientists.
I fully identify as a scientist. I'm not kidding. I say that all the time.
That's why Dr. Venkman was my favorite character, because so did he. He associated himself with science.
Look, man, we're living in...
Hey, man, back up. I'm a scientist.
We're living in the... Well, this is 2018. Maybe we're not living in the Trump era anymore. But I think you can just call yourself whatever you want. Right. And it's right.
I do feel like I have to say, though, that I do come from a place of... I do believe in science, and I want to believe in ghosts, and I'm a person who really, really wants to, but has a really hard time believing. But I really want to.
Well, lucky for you, the majority of the science field is ignoring a lot of these great paranormal or cases or whatever. But there are a lot of scientists who are on board, and some of the greatest evidence are scientifically backed up, and they have witness testimonials and triangulated reports, and which is a great segue into what I'm going to be talking about next.
I'm excited.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
But I think too, we've sort of touched on this before, but I think a lot of this stuff can and will be eventually scientifically explained. Some of it might be stuff that we learn about the brain. Some of it might be, there's this theory of the infrared sound stuff that like causes people to have delusions and hear and feel creepy because there's this almost subliminal sounds that like humming of furnaces or machines or something in the neighborhood or electrical currents can trigger your brain into thinking you're having a paranormal experience. And then I think some of them are going to turn out to be ghosts, and there's a scientific explanation for what a ghost is. We just don't have the science to explain it, because if it's something that exists outside of our reality, then we only have third dimensional science through which to observe the rest of the universe. I think we're really limited on a cosmic scale of, I mean, we're very gifted as a species to be able to learn everything that we have, but I don't think we're ever going to get the full picture, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
and I'm okay with that.
But I think that there is
the question.
ultimately, there's always a scientific explanation for any of this stuff. Before we get to our next segment, I want to ask you, okay, so ghosts, you're open. What about aliens? Now that sounds to me like the most scientifically easy to support. The universe is vast.
Yes. So I guess my 2 cents on aliens, my take is that there's almost no way that there's not life out there. Like, it has to be. That's crazy to think. Like, once you start thinking about galaxies and how far shit goes out, that's when I'm like, oh, I need to sit down. I have a headache. It's so scary.
You're suddenly the kitten walking across the giant room that shrinks to the floor because you're like, oh, I'm so small. I'm so small.
No, I often tell my kids there are more, grains of sand on all the beaches of the world than there are stars in the galaxy.
No, other way around.
Oh, same thing. Same thing. I like to confuse them, but they get the gist. Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy. Crazy. The numbers are insane.
Yeah, it is. It's wild. Like, there obviously has to be life on other planets, and it's funny. Like, I haven't thought about this in so long, but it's scary and exciting and interesting, and I wish that I'm very hopeful, again, that, like, in my lifetime I'll get to learn about that. But I'm also scared, but I also think it's so cool.
You very may well be.
What about...
There's some people at SETI that one of the lead astronomers at SETI, has the feeling that, we'll make contact within the next 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
But that's just one person's opinion,
Do you guys...
We don't appreciate other people's opinions here. Just ours and our guests.
It does feel like, how is it going to work? Because we see all the movies where aliens just want to kill us and we want to kill them. Like, is there ever going to be where we're like, let's just learn about each other?
I think possibly, but I also think that a extraterrestrial species that has evolved, there is advanced enough to travel interstellar distances with science that we don't understand are so far ahead of us evolutionary wise.
They'd be a benevolent presence.
I think that, or they would be the way that we go observe animals in the wild. They're like, they don't interact, they observe.
Right.
They might tag a few, they might test a few, but I think that we are, even though we're obviously, hopefully, more evolved than ants, I think they might regard us in that sense. It's like, well, these guys are so far behind us, we're just going to observe and possibly intervene if they ever...
Ants have a pretty complex social structure.
They do, so do we. Have you been on Instagram lately?
I weirdly think that aliens are less evolved, but in almost like a better way. Like, they're not ruining their planet and they don't have iPhones, but they're, that's kind of what my gut tells me.
Right.
But it gets so, like, infinite that I'm like, wait, what if my soulmate is, like, actually in a different galaxy?
I love that.
Like, what if?
His name is Drakach.
Like, I want to meet him.
Is he a tall blonde Venusian, or is he a Draco? Is he a reptilian sex lord?
Well,
who knows? Well, I guess we'll have to find out within the next 20 years.
I know.
And then Bigfoot, what's your take on, like, cryptids, animals that we haven't discovered that have a mythological presence in our society? More skeptical. I saw that face drop.
No, I have less of a curiosity about those, so I don't know. But I certainly, I hope that it's real, and I want to believe that it's real. Just because, like, at the end of the day, it's boring when it's just us.
Amen.
Exactly. That is why we do this show.
Yes.
Because it is more fun to imagine this stuff than it is to not regard it. And I don't understand people who don't think about this kind of stuff.
And it doesn't just come out of thin air. Like, it has to have some sort of origin, and whether, we don't know what that is, but there's a reason we're talking about it. So.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have our story of high strangeness of the week. And we're back. BCC episode. I don't know what number this is yet, but you'll find out. Just look at your podcast.
Yeah.
Well, technically, it's not Riley. He's holding up 7 because it's going to air a little bit later in January. Oh. So I think this is like 8 or 9. You'll find out. You already know.
We might do a bonus episode. So.
Oh, boy. Anyway, it is time for our story of high strangeness. It's Bryce's turn this week. Bryce, what do you got?
Oh, man, I'm so excited about this one. So, I'm a Californian now, and so I wanted to find something that was like kind of close to home, you know? And did you guys know that California has more than 12,000 reported UFO sightings? It's number 1 according to the National UFO Reporting Center. Any guesses on number 2 and 3?
I would actually say, wait, in the country?
Yeah, in the country, the states.
I'd say Washington State.
At number 3, Washington.
That's a really good guess. I
What
don't
do you
even
think
know
number
why.
2?
I don't know. I was going
You
to say
can
like
do it.
Nebraska, but that's not right.
Nebraska's not on there.
I was going to say somewhere on the East Coast.
Well, Florida, it comes in at number 2, but
that was-
almost less than half. So, anyway, so that brings me to my paranormal story of tonight, and it is called the Topanga Canyon UFO wave.
Ooh, this sounds fun.
Yeah, and we're kind of up here in the canyons with our Bigfoot clubhouse, so this kind of hits close to home. Here's how the story goes. So
I feel like we need some like Joni Mitchell to drop in right now and just play in the background.
we could do that. So June 14th, 1992 marks the beginning of a UFO wave of gigantic proportions and around Topanga Canyon. So Topanga Canyon is a rural community here in Southern California of about 8,000 residents. Here's a little backstory. So in 1989, a man by the name of Preston Dennett, he writes an article to the local newspaper. The newspaper's called The Messenger. And the subject, and he details the accounts of a couple stories he had heard living there. The subject was UFOs, right? And it was the first time the paper ever published anything regarding UFOs. 2 years later, on June 14th, 1992, basically the shit hits the fan. 4 separate groups called the local sheriff's department in Malibu to report strange bright lights chasing their cars through the canyons of Topanga, and in one incident, actually a light beam picking up their car. So a couple weeks later, the same newspaper, The Messenger, publishes another article dated July 2nd through the 15th, 1992, entitled The Sixth Encounter. They came once more by a guy named Colin Penno. So by my math, Preston reports the 2, and then the 4 incidents that were called in that night makes 6. So in the article, he lays out a chilling account of the events that occurred that night with actual phone call testimony to the local sheriff's department about strange lights in the sky. In all, 17 different witnesses observed numerous strange craft flying through the canyon. I just want to read you like a little bit of the article. It's not too much, but it goes like this. Colin Penno writes, sometime between midnight and dawn's early light, Sunday, June 14th, strange things happened in the night sky over Topanga. We can't account for it, we can't explain it, and those who could just aren't talking. Here's what we think we know. From somewhere in West Hollywood a couple of weeks ago, a shaken man called the Lost Hills Malibu Sheriff's Station to ask a question and tell a tale. They'd eaten dinner down at the beach on Gladstones, and then he and his girlfriend took off for a spin up the coast, turning north into the Santa Monica Mountains at Highway 27 for a peaceful night's drive through Topanga Canyon and home to the bright lights of L.A. He calls in, and this is in quotes. Did anyone report anything strange tonight in Topanga Canyon? Came the call. You want to be more specific? Responds a dubious deputy. Strange like what? Lights. Not that I know of. With this question answered, the caller stumbled into an incredible story. You'll think I'm crazy, this in quotes, but I don't know who to tell, he began. Officer, we were driving through the canyon, where the canyon gets deep, and we noticed a bright light in the sky. The couple became uneasy because they felt it was following them, whatever it was. In quotes, suddenly it was over us. We lost control of the car, and it lifted us up into the sky, lifted us up off the ground. I'm telling you, I've never been more frightened in my life, he said, assuring the cop that we don't drink, we don't take drugs, and have no history of psychological problems. What happened next was vague, according to the driver, who reckons they both lost memory for, I don't know, maybe a couple of minutes, and then we were put down. Suddenly, the light, the craft, the tractor beam wasn't there anymore. Responding to a distraught but cogent caller, the listening officer stepped in from the cold of incredulity and asked, were they both okay? Well, we got home by the grace of God. My girlfriend was near hysterical. We felt nauseous for a week. We feel nauseous and weak. I don't know what to do. I'm telling you, I'm a normal human being, the caller pleaded in a quaking voice. I have a job, a good job, and my girlfriend too. Should I report this? They'll think we're out of our minds. I don't believe that something like this would fall under our jurisdiction.
Do you think that this guy was just so lonely he wanted to call the cops and say he had a great job, a girlfriend, and had an experience with the UFO?
Well,
no
if he,
psychological problem.
yeah, well, if he did, there were three other people who called in that night to retell similar stories of strange lights chasing their car through the canyons. And one put was a beam on the home and stuff. But
The one thing I don't buy is that you live in Topanga Canyon and you don't smoke pot.
no, well, that's what this guy says. I don't do drugs. We didn't drink.
Weed's not a drug, man.
Yeah, no, but go ahead.
I'm weirdly inclined to believe this person. I don't know if I'm just like, I'm gullible, but I believe.
Well, so then the second call comes in, all right? And this one's, quote, my girlfriend and I saw 3 very strange, God, who does one report UFOs to? We saw 3 UFOs, flying discs high up in the canyon past Sassafras Nursery. What'd they look like? Inquired the voice of the law. They were saucers. They were following us above the car, and we stopped and got out. We saw them, we watched them, and within maybe 3 seconds, poof, they were gone, straight up into the air like a bat out of hell. And then, so then another, he also is funny enough, the second caller was quite calm. Disappointed, the second caller said, I don't know what we saw. Maybe Gladstone spiked our wine. So this couple comes from Gladstones too.
All these unmarried couples.
I know, but they're all
living in sin.
But but these were reported after midnight, so this was probably traffic coming,
the
late
dating
after.
scene.
Yeah, totally. And then there's a third caller, which let's see, there's a third caller and a fourth caller, a guy from Texas, who, basically says, there's helicopter lights like shining super bright. But anyway, so that's the Topanga Canyon UFO
love this
wave.
stuff.
Yeah, this is crazy. And so Topanga Canyon has been kind of calmed down after that, but they've been still having bizarre kind of UFO encounters.
Do you know that there was a time, this is years ago, when I first moved to LA, and I was up on the roof of my building, and I looked out towards, I lived in the Fairfax district area, which is like basically the middle of LA. And I was out looking west towards where the ocean was, and I saw shooting up into the sky upwards these swirling, very quickly moving swirling lights or kind of orbs. They were kind of like orangey yellow, and they just spiraled up, and I watched them go all the way up into the clouds.
Yeah.
And at first I thought it was, you know how like you can drive by Universal Studios and you'll see like the fireworks or stuff from like one of the stunt shows, the old like Waterworld stunt show that they used to have. It looked like that because it started so low to the ground. I thought I was seeing some fireworks like off towards Santa Monica, but they didn't dissipate. They were like Roman candles that just kept shooting up into the sky and going all the way up and disappearing into the cloud cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's, we talked about this, I think last episode or the episode, or not, a few episodes back, about weird stuff happening off the coast of Santa Monica. And
yeah, there's lots of UFO reports off of Malibu. Some people think there's an underwater alien base over there. But there's a lot of Topanga Canyon seems to be this sort of a UFO. Not funny enough, about a week later, the big 7.3 earthquake happened in Landale.
Wow,
which was another kind of UFO. Hotspot in a sense, but
well, that's great. Okay, so Bryce, thank you for that awesome story. And when we come back, we're gonna ask Esther, what the hell was that?
Yeah, what the hell was that?
And we're back. Bigfoot Collectors Club. We just heard the story about the Topanga Canyon UFO flap from 1992, and I have to ask Esther, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was really interesting, and I've got a taste for more. I'm really excited to keep listening to this show.
Well, lucky for you, there's about a backlog of 8 episodes.
Yes, cha-ching. I almost wonder, do you think there's a chance that UFO sightings happened like in the 50s, 40s, whatever, up until the 90s, and then they kind of like don't happen now because the government knows how to keep them from us?
It's so funny you mention there. Right near this area is a place called Topanga, and there is a whole other UFO episodic adventure called the Topanga Abductions, and it started in the 40s and 50s. Oddly enough, as you mentioned, right in that area where a few of the hippie people, we like to call them, started getting abducted and reporting their cases. So it really started right near this area. 10 years later, the UFO Topanga Canyon wave hits.
Wow.
Wild.
I mean, Because I guess like the question I have is why hasn't this happened to me, and why hasn't this happened to anyone that I know? Because it's always a story from like the olden times. Not that in the 90s or the olden times we were all alive then, but like,
oh my God, spoken like a real millennial.
no, I was alive, but like, I don't have firsthand.
Well, researching this, I was just on YouTube, and if you look up Topanga Canyon UFO, there's a lot of great video evidence of just recently taken place, like in last year, the year before. There was over 1,100 UFO sightings reported to the National UFO Reporting Center so far this year, 353 of them in March. And that's just people who report these things. So many of us don't report.
There's an amazing story that we'll do in a future episode. That I think was the inspiration for the movie Battle LA. That was like a sci-fi film.
Yeah, that's right. Battle of Los Angeles.
And Esther, when we do this episode, I'll send it to you. But there was, in a nutshell, and you can hear the news reports from CBS radio at the time. There was a giant craft during World War II that flew over the
Long Beach Harbor.
Yep, it came across the hills over the valley. And then we had anti-artillery guns set up in case Japan tried to invade LA. And they fired at this object for 45 minutes. And they said that the shells wouldn't make contact as if this thing had a force field around it. Mm-hmm. They took... It was before the big flying saucer stuff even had, and they thought it was like a Japanese airship coming to bomb, and it didn't attack at all, but it floated all the way down to Long Beach Harbor, and then they had pilots, they had the U.S. Air Force out there, they were shooting at this thing. It was
the
massive.
LA Times. Yeah,
it made the cover of the LA Times. You can look up the old photo, and you can go find in archives, you can hear the radio, the way the radio guy treats it is like, large craft was flying over Los Angeles last night, and blah, 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 and he just reports it as fact.
Yeah.
And then they were like, we don't know what that is. And then, of course, because it's happening in the middle of a war, it's kind of forgotten. But if you go back and listen to that, it is insane. Mm-hmm. We'll have to do that one sometime.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
I'm always looking at things from the perspective of like, what do I need to be afraid of? And
I love that.
Like, I feel like aliens haven't been on my radar lately, but
welcome back.
Yeah, it does seem like that.
Do you want to go to Gladstone's tonight?
Oh
yeah.
I love me some Gladstones.
And we'll drive through the canyon.
We'll have to do that one night on the anniversary. What time?
June 14th.
Okay, June 14th. You and I got a date this summer.
Great.
Gladstone's, and Riley's coming with us.
Esther, will you go?
Yes.
Yes, let's do it. June 14th. We'll go to Gladstone's. We'll drive through the canyon.
Calendar?
Wait, no joke. The pilot of Alone Together, which is what's airing tonight, we shot a scene at Gladstone's.
Oh my!
So if you watch tonight,
a lot of synchronicity in tonight's episode.
A lot of synchronicity today. This is amazing.
I know, it is weird.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna take another quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna have our collector's corner.
Yay!
And we're back, and it's time for the Collector's Corner. See, Esther, we're called the Bigfoot Collectors Club, and Bryce and I not only collect paranormal stories, but we like things like comics and action figures. And sometimes actual Bigfoot collectibles.
Yeah.
Bryce has brought a bunch of stuff in. Esther, is there anything you collect?
So I'm a hoarder. So is there anything I don't collect?
Right.
There's
That's
a
the
difference.
real question.
Do you display anything in your house?
Well, okay. In terms of a collection, no, but I do have Chris Farley's autograph, which is on display in my house.
Ooh.
But that's my display piece. When I was growing up, I collected stamps, but I don't really do that anymore.
What was your favorite stamp?
I don't know.
Like series?
I know. I do know. I had like some limited edition Elvis stamps, and I was trying to get all of them.
I'm an Elvis guy.
I am too.
Oh my gosh.
I love Elvis. I had like a weird dream about him in college, and ever since then, I'm like obsessed.
Wait,
really?
what?
Wait, what?
That's another.
I
what?
love that.
You real quick. Tell us the Elvis dream.
I don't even. I was just we were in like a public restroom, and I just like, I know nothing sexual happened, don't worry.
But like, I'm just washing my hands.
Like I think he's one of those figures that, again, I go back to like lonely child inside me, like who I'm really drawn to. And I think a lot of people like that are drawn to. And I don't know why, I don't know what it is about him, but he.
Third most recognizable man in the world, next to
Wow.
Jesus and Santa.
And Florida.
That's cool. That's cool.
So you collected imaginary friends.
No, I never really did that, but I obviously collected Beanie Babies. But my real answer is I was like, I'm always trying to go through old things when I find them in my parents' house. And maybe when I was like 15, I found this old toiletry bag of my dad's, and it had a little pack of matches from a restaurant called Chasen's, which happened to be like a big restaurant in Los Angeles. It's no longer open, but it was like where Alfred Hitchcock would dine, and like all these like glam Hollywood celebs.
I haven't heard of this place.
Yeah, it's called Chasen's. It has a Wikipedia.
It's kind of like a Musso and Frank's.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And I thought that was so cool that because my dad just randomly had that, and it made me like, I don't know, it just felt really special to me because it was such an old piece. And then from there, I'm like, oh, I think collecting little match packs is like a cool thing. And so I try, whenever I see like a nice one, I always try to grab it.
And not so long ago, you were home, I think last Thanksgiving break, perhaps.
Oh, I know.
And you took a photo of the McDonald's Happy Meal Chicken McNugget Halloween figures that used to come in the Happy Meals from the like late 80s, early 90s.
Yes.
And I had forgotten about those and then instantly saw that and went, oh, I had those too.
I know. They're
and your mom displays them over Halloween, or?
Yeah. Well, so I was home for one day and I was like, she didn't have them out, and I'm like, we have to put them out. I like demand her to put them out every year.
Thanksgiving, that would make sense.
It was right before Halloween. But yeah, they're the little plastic chicken McNuggets, and they all have different little Halloween costumes. There's like a ghost and a Frankenstein.
The Dracula.
Yeah, they're so cute. And they're like, I collected Happy Meal toys when I was a little kid, and these are for some reason the set that my mom kept, and I love them.
I loved, and you may not have been alive yet, but the Muppet Babies.
Oh yeah,
in like 1986. It was right when McDonald's toys started to get kind of good.
Yeah,
right, because they were good for a while.
Yeah,
now they're not
good.
good, but they were so good.
Everything's not good now.
I know.
Yeah, God. Crappy.
I know.
You walk through Toys R Us and it's just like, I mean, it's still pretty good, but you're like, this isn't the store of yesteryear.
No.
Sorry.
No, I'm with you.
Going off on a tangent there.
Old man.
Old
toy
man,
collector.
Toys R Us, toy collector.
Bryce, do you have anything to share with us today?
Yeah, sure. I brought, hold on, let me get it.
Oh, he's always got to reach into his magic bag.
I switched last minute. I wanted to bring this guy.
Oh, this guy's cool.
Check this guy. I got him at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference.
Whoa.
He's a stuffed Bigfoot. He's got big red eyes.
Yeah, he's so
cute.
cute.
I love him.
I got him for my son. There was a guy from London.
This is the second stuffed animal you've brought in, and I go, oh, it's just so cute.
I know,
I love him.
I know.
I gotta go get me one of these.
I've got a lot of stuffed animals. I give them all to my boy, but yeah, it's pretty cute. And yeah, so it's a guy from London, and his wife makes these, I think.
Oh, those are rad. I gotta get one of those.
I gotta have that. Yeah,
I love it. My bulldog will try to steal it from me, though.
Yeah.
His hand already fell off, but my other daughter, Charlie, sewed it back on.
Oh,
she was
what a
so
sweet
proud.
kid.
She came up to me last night. She's like, I feel really good that I helped you and for your thing because you want to bring stuff to your Bigfoot show. My family all
Did
thinks
you
I'm
have to
crazy,
explain
by
to
the
her
way.
that hands
really
don't
do.
grow out of heads? And what a terrible job she did.
Oh, boy.
All right, well, we're about to wind up this session in the clubhouse. Before we go,
Yep.
Esther, where can people find you?
So if you're interested in beauty or self-care or health, diet, fitness, you should listen to Glowing Up, which is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And also my series Alone Together, which premieres today as this episode comes out if you're listening to it on that day.
And that's on Freeform.
That's on Freeform Wednesdays at 8:30. And my Instagram is Esther Monster, and that's probably where I do the most posting.
Awesome.
And if you're in San Francisco, I'm coming to do stand-up and a live podcast January 20th and 21st.
And Freeform, just so you know, listeners, is what ABC Family used to be, and then they rebranded as Freeform.
Yes.
I didn't know that until recently, so that's good. You can find it on your TV.
Yeah, and the show is just a half-hour comedy, and it doesn't feel like what you'd expect to see on ABC Family. It's more like a Comedy Central type sensibility.
I've seen pieces of it's very funny.
Oh, thank
it's great.
you.
If you like Broad City, you'll like this show, I think. Is that fair?
I think so.
Yeah,
that show's
different.
amazing. I hope we're half as good.
It's in that vein of like
Yeah.
friends hanging out
Yeah.
and embarrassing themselves, and then also getting in kind of fun.
Yeah, I should probably
adventures.
say what it's about.
you want to,
Yeah,
do
it's
it.
just me
Now's the
and
chance.
my best guy friend. We're platonic male-female friendship, and you can also see me on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Yeah,
Fridays.
we're back. Yeah, it's, the final 5 episodes are airing this month of season 3, which is why we're
Check them out.
Yeah, we're having this little crossover series right now.
And
so
we
definitely
had
check that out.
so much fun this
Oh, man.
season.
This is a really fun year.
I know.
And especially when we came back, the episodes that are airing now, we really had too much fun.
I know.
It was a really good time. Bryce, where can people find you?
So check us out on Instagram at Bigfoot Collectors Club. And you know what? We're starting to collect some paranormal stories at our email account.
Thank you for mentioning that.
BigfootCollectorsClub@gmail.com. So
yes, write in with your
thank you
stories.
for sending those.
Though they have been great. I think you've already heard some of them by now, but we need more. So please, because we're going to keep doing listener episodes. I'm at McMills, 2 Z's on all the social media stuff. Before we go, I want to thank Riley Bray, our sound engineer.
Yeah.
I, of course, want to thank Esther. And I just want to give a big shout out and a huge thanks to Lotus Pool Records and the band Sun Eaters for our music from the song Come Alone. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.